Hey everybody, welcome to Distant Lightning. I'm Barely Knowing Phil, and I'm going to share my musings and probably unpopular opinions about the Tampa Bay Lightning, my favorite NHL team, and I hope you enjoy the show. Today, I want to talk about the playoff sweep, a couple comments on that. JT Miller, kind of sorry to see him go. And then the fact that we need to sign Brayden Point still, and just take a look at our rosters and see how much that might cost the team. All this on Distant Lightning. Okay, let's talk about that playoff sweep where the Columbus Blue Jackets took us out in 4 games. It started off glorious in that first game. We went up 3-zip, and then it just slid to nowhere after that. I was thinking about what kind of interviews, what would the players say, what would the coaches say, what was our GM Breezeball going to say about it, and I found them particularly tight-lipped. They said everything you would expect them to say. They just didn't win. They didn't really have too much to say, but I was curious, is there a problem in the locker room? Is there some kind of player division happening that we haven't seen? My wife was reminding me that the team all went on some unprecedented golf excursion, possibly to encourage some team bonding that maybe didn't exist right before the playoffs. And apparently it's been unheard of in the NHL. Then look at Kucherov in Game 2, and he did that dirty tripping and boarding against Marcus Nudavara that got him a 1-game suspension. What kind of player does that? Does he hate his team? You're not going to earn the love and respect of your teammates when you're the top point scorer in the NHL and you get yourself removed from a critical playoff game in the first playoff series of the Stanley Cup. I'm also wondering if there's weak camaraderie in general of Russian or Russian-speaking players versus maybe the North American or other European players. Seems to me, every time I turn around on Twitter or what have you, the Russian guys are all posing together. They're in New York, they're hanging out, they're in Russia, and it's the same guys, right? Kucherov, we see Vasilevsky, we see Sergachev, maybe Palat is hanging out with them too, I'm not sure. But it just seems to me that maybe there's some division, maybe it's over language. We all saw, I don't know if you saw it, but that lighting, remember the commercial where Kucherov's turning on and off lights, and he doesn't say a word. He's just turning on and off lights. And is that what it's like in the locker room? Is that what it's like after games? Do they go out to a bar together and Kucherov is just like smiling and clinking his beer bottle and nothing else goes down? The other question that my wife was curious about is, are there too many married guys on the team versus single guys? So the married guys are staying home on Friday nights. Single guys want to go out, live it up a little. And that's a good time for team bonding, right? That's when the guys, they do funny stuff. Inside jokes get developed, and maybe they're just not doing it. And so, again, there's some kind of team division there. The married guys maybe just aren't really bonding with the single guys. So, again, from the interviews after the playoffs, there seem to be some tight lips, but I'm going to keep an eye on this and see if any drama leaks out. We can find out what might be going through the minds and emotions of our players. Another item actually related to that has to do with Stamkos. He is the captain. Can Stamkos fire up the troops? Does he have that esprit de corps that he can kind of push out and get his team to perform when they need to? When you go down 1 game, 2 games, 3 games in the playoffs, your top point scorer gets himself ejected for a game. What is it that Stamkos is doing in that locker room? Because when I watch him do interviews, I'm seeing a guy who is kind of chill. He's kind of low energy. He's like Mr. Nice Guy. So I'm curious, is he like that in the locker room? Is he like that on the bench? We all loved it when he cursed out the ref and it got caught on NBC's feed. But maybe we need more of that from him. Does anybody remember when Brian Boyle fought Schuster during practice? So I think Brian Boyle is looked at as one of those grizzly veterans who's going to help fire guys up. Maybe not always in the best manner, but is Schuster on the team anymore? Yeah, point said. All right, next item up, Brayden Point. We need to sign this guy. A little side note, we also need to sign Erne. So let's have a look at our rosters. If you take a look on screen, I've kind of took a look at capfriendly.com. Everybody seems to like it online on YouTube anyway, and great website, very informative, lots of stats. And I just tried to simplify. So I put up a chart on screen now, and what I did is I evaluated our players on the roster by cost, and I put little dollar sign symbols. Kind of like you go out to eat at a restaurant, and you want to know how much it costs. You go on Google Maps, you see the little dollar signs, all right, or on Yelp. So $1 sign, less than $1 million, all the way up to $5 signs in orange, more than $9 million, all right? If we look at the roster, we can see I kind of organize them by starting line, line 1, next line 2, next 3 and 4, and our goalies. The white boxes are the 2 players we need to sign. So we have a center in Brayden Point, first top line, and we have a right wing on our checking line, okay, Erne. So if we look at the relative costs, Kucherov's making the most on the team. I think he's hitting like $9.5 million. Stamkos, the captain, puts up pretty good numbers. He's hitting, I think, $8.5 million per year. And then you have everybody else kind of everywhere in between. So, I was curious, what are we going to end up paying Brayden Point? What is he worth? I hear the guys on TSN say, hey, centermen are more valuable than wingers, hands down, okay? So if you compare him to another winger, like a lot of people comparing him to Mitch Marner, which we'll come to in a minute, you might not be able to do that. Kuch doesn't play center, though, so what does that say? If he doesn't play center, is Brayden Point worth the same as Kucherov? Or is he worth the same as Stamkos? Or does he have some more years to prove that he can be consistent or as good as Stamkos and as resilient as Stamkos is showing, since Stamkos just had his best season of his career last season with 98 points, career high? Does he need more time? And therefore, maybe we give him a pretty good deal for a short amount of time and he can prove himself. And then maybe we pay him more, or maybe somebody else does in the future. Let's take a look at a Brayden Point evaluation I did where we can see kind of some players, top players on the Lightning, and some other players in the league that are similar to him. So we can see Kucherov just dominating, 128 points. He had the most in the league. He beat out Connor McDavid. I can't remember how much Connor McDavid did, but I think he beat him by like 19 goals or something. We can see the other interesting thing about Kucherov, he scores a lot of goals, but look at those assists, all right? Kucherov, we all know he's got eyes in the back of his head. I don't know how he does it. He does these no-look feeds right on the player's tape so they can score, right? What's not to love? Also, his plus-minus is 24. Frankly, Kucherov on defense, I think, is pretty much non-existent. He looks like a lightweight out there. He avoids physical contact. But you know what? He puts up so many points, either through assists or goals, it doesn't matter. And when you can have the stick handling capability of Kucherov, he's just dodging and weaving and doing things with the puck that just befuddles the other team. So the puck stays in the other team's zone when he's out there. So even if he's not so good on defense and he's not able to maybe take a hit or give a hit, it doesn't seem to matter. We're paying him $9.5 million a year. He's the highest paid player on our team right now. To put things in like Canadian equivalents, I didn't do it, but it's probably somewhere around 12.5 million Canadian. Somebody could check my math on that. It's approximately that. Put things in perspective, Austin Matthews is hitting like 11.5 million Canadian. John Tavares, also on the Maple Leafs, is at 11 million Canadian. Stamkos, what I like about Stamkos, not only does he have the second most points in the team, but look at that distribution. Goals, assists, almost equal. This is a guy, you don't know what he's going to do. He might shoot, he might pass. And when he does, goal's probably going to get scored. So that's kind of fun. Obviously, something fun to watch with Stamkos. His plus-minus, +4, kind of like Kucherov. We're not looking at Stamkos to do much on defense. However, after all his injuries, this last season was a first season where I saw Stamkos start to play more physical. He started to block shots. He started hitting guys, especially around the net area. So I was kind of pleased. I'm curious to see if Stamkos continues to break out of his shell next season. He's getting paid $8.5, a solid $8.5 million. He's living in Tampa Bay. He loves the beach. I think he's married and settled down now. So we've got him locked in for a number of years. If we go back to the other slide in parentheses, you can see how long the contract is. We've got him for another 5 years, and I think he's 29, so he'll be a graybeard by the time that contract ends. Now on to Brayden Point. What do we see in Brayden Point's goals and assists and total points? Honestly, we've got Stamkos Jr. here. This is a guy, we don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to score? Is he going to feed the puck to someone else who then will score? Again, that's fantastic to see. He's a centerman, plus-minus, +27. Point is, he's got like some physicality out there, almost like JT Miller. He doesn't get moved off the puck. He's got some size, his presence. He doesn't mind just running through people with that puck to make a play. That's what I like about Point. He is an anchor on this team. We have to pay him some money. What is he going to make? So I've heard some predictions all the way up to about $8.75 million. Maybe we can get him for $8.25 million and maybe get him for 3 years or something and then pay him more later if he's consistent. I don't know. We'll have to see. If you kind of look at some other players around the league that are kind of doing the same amount of scoring as him, or points anyway, assists, we've got Mitch Marner, who I've heard the talk, Point is waiting for Marner to get a contract to find out what he might be worth. Marner, on his team, is the top point scorer, and he plays right wing on the Maple Leafs. And he's got a great plus-minus of +22. Obviously, an awesome player. They're going to have to pay him. I already told you that Austin Matthews is making like $11.5 or $11.6 million, and he's not doing as well as Mitch Marner. So what are they going to hit? I put like $10 million because he's not a centerman, but I could pay him like $12 million Canadian. So he might make something like Kucherov possibly on the Maple Leafs by currency comparison. Huberdeau on Florida, he's a left wing. He also put up 92 points, mostly assists, but his plus-minus is -14. I might toss that out, though, because the Florida Panthers, we know, had a lot of challenges over the course of the season. And I personally have not watched Huberdeau play. I really don't know his play style. So is he not good defensively, or is this just team not good defensively? I'm not sure. He's making $5.9 million, does live in Florida as well. So there's kind of maybe the low end of the spectrum for a Point. Thanks for tuning in to Distant Lightning. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click like and subscribe. And if I get enough of those, I'll just keep doing these. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.